Hi there, you're listening to the Conversations with Uncle Kevin podcast. This is a podcast that inspires dreamers to pursue their passions and inspire their journeys. My name is Kevin Masundiri, and I'm best known for my YouTube channel, Uncle Kevin Reacts. In this podcast, I sit down with achievers, overachievers, and doers to talk about their process, lessons they've learned, and how to make an impact.
What up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. You just caught me on the set of Uncle Kevin Reacts. I had to jump onto this to make a quick introduction to this week's podcast. The guest is Mariya Miloshevych. She's an actress, she's a producer, she's a project manager, she's a co-founder, she's an entrepreneur, she's a model, she's a lot of things. But the one thing that she did add to us this week is a lot of value on this episode. So I had to jump right quick to introduce her. As soon as the podcast starts, it just jumps into the conversation. So this is the time you can go grab a notebook. You're going to learn a lot of lessons. Let me know in the comment sections which lessons you took from this episode. And also, if you have questions for me, don't be shy to hit me up on Instagram in my DMs. I'm always open to listening to what you guys think and how we can improve the podcast if there's any improvements and other questions you'd like me to ask guests. With that said,
okay, look. So as a producer, you let's say a writer approaches you and they're like, hey, I have this idea. I want to make this. Help me make this. And so you go, cool. I somewhat like the story. Best when the writer says, I also have my buddy. He's a director. He's going to direct on this. But then it's a producer's job to be like, okay, well, this director is great. But if we're selling this director is not, big enough for us to sell the picture for the money that we would like to sell it for, given that we estimate that the budget for this is going to be so and so. So, as a producer, it's the executive decision of, am I going to buy the story from this writer and just make it myself? Am I going to let the writer just keep the IP, right? And then we're going to make it together. And are we going to try with this director? Are we going to get a new director, right? Like you're still even figuring these things out. And then you go, okay, so let's analyze this now. There's lots of softwares out there available that use AI intelligence to analyze your script before you even go into production, where you insert your script, you input your director, and then you input your cast that you think would work best. And then the results that are given, it's, like how much money it will make in the box office with those supposed cast, how much money it will make worldwide, how much money it will make like overall, what is it worth? Is it worth making it, et cetera, et cetera. So before you even come to any decisions, you're still estimating, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Let's assume you decided it is worth it. Okay, as a producer, you need to put up money. Do you have money? Okay, you have money. So you're putting up money, but then you need more. So you go to your friends, they write you a check, or you go to a studio, but then the studio will have the rights to your movie. There's all these decisions that you have to make and you haven't even started on anything, right? So that's like half a year. Sometimes it doesn't take that long. If let's say everything you have is already like lined up, it's like, okay, we have a movie, the script is ready, the director is attached, the director is a big name. We have 3 million to get it started. We need another 3 million for the pre-production. Then we need another 45 million to make the movie. So, we're going to go shop around and get a bunch of investors, but we kind of already have that going. We already started. Cool. That can take 4 months, right? Yeah. Maybe a little bit more. But still, you have all of this legwork that needs to be done. And then you go in pre-production. And then in pre-production, you are now creating the script. You're refining it. You're polishing draft 1, draft 2, draft 20 if needed, right? You're shopping around for the cast. You're reaching out to agencies. Do you have a relationship with those agencies for the cast that you want? Hopefully you do, because if you don't, you have no one to be selling your movie because the name sells, right? Yeah. So you do all of that. You go and you chat to the cast. You try to get the right people on board that make sense, but also that can sell the movie. You know, like you, in the meantime, you're creating your schedule, you're creating your, you know, like line producer comes on board and they create your schedule. They have all of this, you know, like location scouting going on. They have all the budget now being even more established in pre-production. Like, how much do we actually think this is going to cost us to make? Do we need to fly to the mountain? All right, you know, like the mountain is not available this time of season because there's some natural observatory happening by the scientists, and we really want this mountain, but we can't have it this time of year, so we need to go there. Like, so many moving pieces, right? And we're still in pre-production. Then the production, you know, when you're in production, you're already thinking about publicity, contingency, you know, like how we're going to sell this, how much overhead is going to cost us, where is this going to go, who's it going to be seen by, right? So there's all these pieces. And now in post-production, when you're handing it off to the VFX department, to the editing department, the coloring, the sounds, you still come in there with the director if you're a hands-on producer, and you supervise it with the director, and you step in and see, like, you know, like, is it actually worth it? Oh yeah, by the way, in the pre-production, you still need to get in touch with best of the best composers, because you want the right, you know, sound for you, for your movie. And then after you're done with the post-production, you have already established a path for how your movie is going to go. Is it going to go straight to the theaters? How many weeks is it going to be in the theaters? Is it going to be the usual run? Is it going to be 8 weeks because of COVID now? Is it going to be 12? Are we able to buy 12 weeks? You know, like, how much are we going to take of the percentage? All of that stuff. And then we have the distribution at the end of it after the movies are done. Are we selling this? Are we, like, what are we doing, right? Is it going to be shown on TV? Okay, percentage, right? Is that what you want? Is that what you like? Or do you want to be a director? As a director, you have a vision, you have an idea, you're a creative guy. Mm-hmm. You create an idea together with a writer. Or let's say you haven't even created the idea. Mm-hmm. Your friend is a writer. They came up with it and you're like, dude, dope, let's do it. And then you go and you find somebody who can help you find the money. And then, you know, you're super invested in pre-production. You're there with the producer and the writer. You guys are figuring out, you know, like, how much money do we need for this? How much money does this current script cost? Do we need to cut it? Are we within the budget? Do we need to rewrite it? Sure, let's rewrite it. And then as a director, when you're breaking everything down into, you know, like, basically your shot list, you go, ooh, like, I see this being shot this way and I see it being shot here. And you know what? Like, I really want it to be shot with a helicopter, not a drone, because of how we can give that feel, whatever, right? So that's such a creative process, you know, like you get to be like, you're making a movie, like you can do whatever you want, like anything you want, right? And then on the day, you're there, day in, day out, just like grinding, making sure that the movie is happening, relying on your DOP, but not relying on him, working along your DOP, because that's a bad director's trait. If you just solely rely on the DOP, you know, a director of photography. And then, you know, like, you're there in the post-production, you're supervising, you're watching this magic happen of the sound, mixing with the music, mixing with the actions, mixing with the actors, and like working with the actors, having to direct them and seeing them say things that you had in your head out loud, and then seeing that on the screen. How awesome is that? And then you get to skip on all the publicity stuff because you just sit there and you go, all right, now we wait. Yeah. Would you like to do that, maybe?
I'm more on the producer side.
Okay, all right.
On the stressfulness, and because I feel like producers, they do more. And
they do more.
You're involved a lot, and also not involved, like, because I don't think I can do what the director does, being there 24/7 for the shots, and that part can be boring.
I guess, yeah, like, to each their own, right? Yeah. Like, people find it fascinating and they love the control of, you know, like, every moment. It's not about being a control freak, and it's not about being there and, you know, like, grinding. It's more about being there every minute of the magic happening and making sure that it's just using the right spice, you know?
Right. And I guess if you're the director, because you are working, then it won't be as boring that I found it being on set.
You would be working the whole time. You're not an assistant. You're not just bringing coffees and you're waiting between, you know, like you're not a PA, just like cut.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I guess that's where it'll be fun, because it's more of you are engaged in the whole thing, so you won't even see time passing. But still, that's a lot of creative work, and I think at some point I would just go, I'm done. But being a producer, like, I don't know, it just feels like it calls me, because one, I do love seeing people bring up their ideas and just being able to create that environment. So say for a director, even a young upcoming director, you create that environment for them. But then you're also there to remind them that we work within budgets, and then after that, the challenge is how do we promote the film? And I feel like that's where a lot of fun is, because if you've seen how they've changed dramatically, like the past few years, okay, we used to, now social media is big, now this is big. So you're involved in all of that. I want to be involved in all of that, and hopefully change even the way things are directed. Like I can guess, like with Squid Games, did you watch it?
Yeah.
The way they've done it is like, okay, now we've in a way revolutionized how things work, right? People are now speaking about making movies with vernacular languages from different countries, and then subtitles being a big thing. But this has always been but all of a sudden someone just went, no, let's just think about it. And then, so I'm pretty sure that that's a marketing ploy that they threw out, because for the director to come out and say people can get above using 1 inch of subtitles to watch a show, things will change. And then people watch the show. Now they're rewatching the show in Korean, which is like...
I watched it in Korean.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I found this TikTok I was episode 2 or something, and I found this TikTok because I'm addicted, and it was saying that this girl, she's like, oh, I'm Korean, and I speak English and Korean fluently, and the English dubbing is absolutely incorrect, and it robs certain characters, especially the character who was that... forgot her name, but it was the chick that kept like going from one group to another group to another group. So she said that like especially that character was robbed of their personality through the translation, because in Korean there would be just like a phrase or a word that she would say, you know, like, and like there was this one when like she was asking to go use the bathroom, and she, you know, like she was like, what are you looking at? But that was the English translation, but the actual, you know, like sentence, I don't remember it correctly at this point, but it was more so like stop staring at me, you know, it's subtle.
Yeah.
But it's different, you know, like, because what you're looking at is just like, you know, but what are you like, why are you staring at me? It's more like vulnerable and more of a victim rather than, you know, like, what are you looking at as, you know, like the aggressor. So that was interesting. And so I switched to Korean and then English subtitles, but then also there on Netflix, there's English and then there's English CC subtitles. So the English CC were were they the correct ones? They were the correct ones, I think, to use, because still the English regular dub was not accurate. It was still literally what they were saying in dubbed, you know, like English version. It was just in the subtitles. So you had to switch from that, because you're getting literally the same thing you would get if you were just listening to English. You had to switch to English CC, and then you would get the more so like 85-90%, you know, like accurate translation from Korean, because obviously the language is so intricate. Not everything can be translated, you know, like I speak other languages. I'm sure you speak other languages as well. And it's like, I'm sure you can testify to the fact that sometimes you would say a saying and it's like trying to translate it to somebody in English. It's like, just imagine, you know, how good it sounded in my language, and
it comes out terrible.
Yeah.
I feel you. So switching, what made you go into film production? Yeah.
I was an actor and I was broke, and I don't know. Like it's an interesting topic, because I still remember, like I still kind of have a bit of a resentfulness towards myself for doing that, because I feel like I gave up on acting and I just jumped the ship and switched. I'm working through that. I mean, I'm sure that, like if I really feel like going back to acting, I could have done it this whole time. And I also can make my own movie where I'll put myself in. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But I was broke. I was an actor and I was not booking anything. I had an accent. My agent didn't believe in the fact that I can book anything that's substantial with an accent. That was, like I was fresh out of school. That was like 7 years ago. And I took so many lessons and accent reduction classes and voice classes and like all of these things. And my agent, just like my agents, I had a multiple amount, like I had 3 agents, I think. They never believed in the fact that I could do something. So I would keep going out for commercials, and I don't have a commercial look. Yeah. Like my look is not too typical. And even if I could be made look typical, it's just the way I act. It doesn't necessarily always fit the commercials that are shot in Canada. So yeah, like it just wasn't working out. And I was like, like I really want to be eating. It seems that I need it. And so, and I really don't feel like living in a cardboard box much longer. So I switched to being a PA, and I moved to Vancouver 4 years ago, almost 5 now. And it was that time, 2017. Is that 4 years, I guess? Yeah, I moved in 2017. And when there was like this crazy boom in the industry, if you recall, it was like everything was shooting. We were so busy. There were so many movies, like, there were like 70 productions every month. For example, this month there's only 38 productions and it's COVID. Yeah. But still there's 38 production, including TV shows, movies of the week, and like features and pilots. Whereas back then it was like 70. It was crazy. Yeah. And so I literally within like 2 months worked my way up from like PA to KPA to a TAD. And then I got my break as a TAD on a Christmas show, like a Hallmark movie. I had 30 days when I was a TAD, training assistant director. And it was insane because I had no qualifications. I was not a part of the guild, Directors Guild of Canada. I had no certifications. I had no experience. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing this job. And I ran the show for a month. And well, I didn't run it, but I worked on it for a month. And after that, that landed me a position as a day call in Dirk Gently. And then from there, I had a full show with the X-Files. So we ran the last season of X-Files. I was the TAD on it from the beginning to the end. And after finishing X-Files, I was like, I don't like it. Why? I don't like being a training assistant director. I didn't like being I love being on set. Vancouver, like anywhere you throw a stone, you'll hit like a circus or a crew park or whatever. And so anytime I would pass by like a circus, I would be like, like I need to be here. I need to be here. Like I felt like I need to be in the production, and to this day, like I still feel that way. But it's just like everything that it comes with and everything that IATSE is fighting for right now. And I don't know if they went on strike. They were supposed to announce yesterday, but I'm not sure if they did that. I think they're just still waiting for the money. And it's just everything that it came with. It was too high of a price to pay, especially for something I wasn't super passionate about. So I stepped away and I started my own company, and we've been doing it since.
So you go from one extreme to the next. I mean, starting a company must not be easy though. Right?
I'm still learning. I'm actually thinking about, funny that we're doing this now, because I have been thinking about either starting a podcast or something like this, where it would be video and sound, and it can go on 2 different platforms. Yeah. Because I feel like at this point, I don't feel as an expert by any means, I feel more of someone who likes to talk. Yeah. I'm not a good writer, so I don't think I should open a blog, but I was thinking about opening a podcast or a vlog where I can talk about this, because the experience that I had as a small business owner in the last 3 years, I feel like I have enough experience at this point to at least help those who are starting a business, because I can tell them where are my pitfalls, what I wish I knew, what things I can really help you with, and I can give you like a bit of an advice. But also, like I have other things I want to share about the, like the misconceptions that people have about video. And, like we work with a lot of clients, and I produce on the side. I also produce as a freelancer. So I have like all of these different experiences. I don't do any big accounts. Like I haven't done anything bigger than a certain amount of, like $1,000, but we're getting there. But I feel like even on this scale, I have a bit of an experience that I think would be valuable to some. So I was thinking I was going to do that. And this is useful.
You should. Like, that would be amazing. I see your Instagram, the things that you post. I'm like, damn, there's a lot. I think you did an ad with, was it Best Buy?
Yeah, Best Buy and Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the recent one that I flew to Toronto for. That was fun because it was based on a true character. It was about Will Sullivan, and Will, he had a mentor. The whole thing is about being a mentor, right? And so it was about him being a mentor, but he started as a mentee.
Yeah.
And now he has Carl as his new mentee. And it's just like having this chair of a mentor being like replaced by other people, and just like being in the chair as a student and then switching to the chair of a mentor. And that journey is just so fascinating to me because yes, it's a commercial for Best Buy. Yes, it's a commercial to advertise, like Surface Pro from Microsoft. But the idea behind it is that you are ever changing, ever growing, and so as well. And that's what we try to like capture in this commercial. So obviously commercial, whatever. But to me, like if you really dig deeper, it's like it has so much more meaning, and it's so you can apply it to everything in your life. That's why I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like question: when you find those stories, is it you who finds them? Who comes up with those people? Like
it all depends. With Best Buy, they already had Will, and they wanted to work with him, and then Will just said that he wants to include Carl and Jessica as the additional people in the video, and so we just had to reach out to Carl's mom, his guardian, and then Jessica, and speak to them if they would be down to be in this, and they said yes. And so we just had a conversation with both of them and spoke, hey, like what is it that it makes special to you to be a mentor? What is it that makes special to you to be friends with each other? And then based on that discovery call we had with them, we've based a story on it, and we made a commercial the way it does look now. And obviously it was all done thanks to a director, because the director was discovering these lines, like intricate moments between the three of them, and interlacing them in such a way that it actually makes sense on camera. So it's a director's job, like as a producer, you would just be there, be like, yeah, that sounds good.
All right. And then how do they come up with you? Like they're in Toronto, you're here. What's the link?
Well, the production company is from here.
Oh, okay.
And I just know somebody from the production company I was in touch with. We were supposed to go out for beers, and I was like, hey, like, let's go out on this day because I'm in Toronto visiting my family. He's like, haha, can't go. I'm in Toronto on those days. And I'm like, what are you doing there? And he's like, we're shooting a commercial. And I'm like, well, if you need any help, holla.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, actually, we do, but we need a production manager. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And so I flew to Toronto, spent some time with my family because they were visiting, and then I just changed my return flight so I can do the commercial. And that was it.
Just like that. Wow. So you say from a personality point of view, someone who just jumps, because a lot of people plan their things, right? Like I want to do this A, B, C, D. Would you say for you, it's if you see an opportunity, you jump on it, or it has to make sense with like a vision and stuff?
Well, I have multiple lists everywhere. I have lists in my notes, lists in my notebook, lists in my, there's this app that I use for managing our projects. I have lists per project. I have lists in like shared notes with my business partner. So I have a lot of lists, and I'm a very structured person. However, that saying, like you miss 100% of opportunities that you don't take.
Yeah.
So what I do is, obviously, if it makes sense, but I take all the opportunities, and then you siphon through them, and you're like, okay, well, that doesn't really look good, or you figure out how you can make it work. Or you just take only half of that opportunity, or you see how it can benefit you, and then you drop it. So you take everything, and if it works, sweet. If it doesn't work, that was a lesson. That's it.
Then you move on. That's pretty awesome. And then you spoke about your 3-year journey to being in business. Would you like to share a little bit more?
Yeah. Running a business is hard. And when we started it, we didn't know anything. We had no business education, no accounting education. All we knew is that we wanted to make movies. I was still doing vlogs on YouTube. They are deleted. You will not find it. I was doing vlogs on YouTube, and I thought that I was a videographer. So I would work for the first year with my business partner as A cam or B cam. I would still be editing a lot, like I would do all the sound editing, color editing, regular editing. So I would live in the Adobe Premiere, like an Adobe like audio, whatnot. Software is the full cloud suite, basically. And I was doing that, and I was like, yeah, cool, I'm a videographer. And then in the second year it was COVID, like we were not really sure what we were doing all together. So we were taking a break. And then in this year, I was like, hold up. We need to like assign roles to each other. Like, what are you?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what am I? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we had to agree on what are the roles? What are the expectations? What are we doing? We didn't have a partnership agreement. I mean, I whipped up a partnership agreement online. I found it online. I changed it. We signed it. Turns out there's an official document that you need to sign in the province of BC as a partnership. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, obviously, So we had to sign that. That like legalizes us as a partnership. We knew we had to get a business license. We didn't know we had to get our name registered. We registered our name in the third year of our business because that's when we found out we need to register our name. When we were getting a business debit card for our business, and they're like, "Where's your name like registration?" We're like, "Yeah, what's that?" And they're like, yeah, you need that, or like getting a GST account. We didn't know that you also need a business number. We thought that our business license number is the business number. You have a business number. The business number is not the same as your international business number that appears on your partnership agreement. So, all these things. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That's good to know, I guess. So like all these things, I'm not embarrassed to say that it's like, we're dumb, we're doing everything from scratch, and we went to Small Business BC for some help with starting the business. And the Small Business BC offers lots of courses, lots of training. I took those.
Right.
I didn't know all these things still. So only in our third year, we're like getting to these things. And I swear to God, there's most likely some little thing that's like somewhere that we haven't found yet. That's going to be like, oh yeah, like, I don't know, you didn't like register your like residency or something. I don't know. Like there's most likely something out there that we haven't done yet. So that is, like, and like even that,
that's massive.
Like not even talking about having like to deal with the clients, educating the clients, having your, like prices, being firm on your prices, raising your prices, all of that. No, man, like just getting your name registered, like whoopsie daisy, like 3 years later. Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And it being a creative business, I'm guessing no one was into the admin stuff of it.
No, I had to learn the admin stuff. I took so many courses. There's these online universities that you can go to course in accounting, to course in bookkeeping, to course on marketing, to two courses in marketing, to course on leadership, to course on like random stuff that just like for the business, like spoke to an HR person, had like a few in-person HR meetings so that I can be a better boss, because we have freelancers who work for us. I had to learn how to be more of a boss, less of a friend, because all of our freelancers technically are friends, like you can't just like, it's hard to switch from being like, go do that.
Yeah.
I need it by Monday. And then on Saturday be like, yeah, you want to have beers?
Yeah.
But then when you're hanging out with them, you're like, by the way, this is due Monday. Like it's just, you have to jump back and forth. So there's so many things I personally had to do and learn. And like YouTube tutorials have been an endless pastime for me,
Right.
And books, reading a lot of books, and like I listen to my books. So reading a lot of books, watching a lot of master classes, watching all of these YouTube tutorials, taking all these courses, taking webinars, like we have a new software to manage our projects. I have no idea how to do it. Taking a course in that, taking a webinar on that, like getting a social media manager, learning what a social media is, getting a digital, getting our marketing done right now, learning different kinds of marketing. What are the Google ads? What is a campaign? What is a Google set? What is a Google ad set? What is, what is a Google ad? What is an ad? How the campaigns can be broken down? What is a tree? What is a SEO? What are the keywords? How do they work? How often do you need them? I don't know. I'm here to make a movie, I'm here to make a commercial for you, and like your whatever brand that you have, I don't know. So you have to sit and learn and learn and learn and learn all these things, because if you're an entrepreneur, you have to learn. If you're just a business owner and you're doing something very specific, I would say you still need to learn, but it's different. So there's different ways to own a business, right? And like, do you want to scale? Do you want to just run your business and you're happy? Do you want multiple locations? Do you want just one? A lot, right? So that's why I feel like there's a lot to talk about, and I feel like I need to break it down in my own podcast, or whatever I figure out. I'm still figuring it out. So like I just went to this webinar. Well, it was a meeting yesterday in the morning. It was Vancouver Club had a breakfast meeting for women, and we had this social media and like marketing talk, and it was super cool. And we got to talk with these two women who have the agency for influencers, and we got to ask them all these questions. So like going there and you're like, yes, influencers. That's another thing I know nothing about. Okay, we'll add it to my list. We'll touch base on that later. But like it's never ending learning. You thought that you're done with learning when you're out of like university or college. Like you're not.
You're never done.
You're never done.
Especially if you start a business. You have to learn. I used to work with a guy who would come to me with like stacks of books. I'm like, what are you reading? He's like, I want to grow my business. I have to read this. Like,
yeah.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, you gotta read. You gotta read a lot. My Audible is so helpful for that, because like you're driving, you're reading, you're walking, you're reading. So yeah, I'm very fond of it.
Oh yeah. Question for you as an entrepreneur, how are your views on marketing? Like I'm always fascinated.
Like super important.
Oh, yeah?
Different ways, right? But finish your question.
I noticed with small businesses, they don't like investing a lot into marketing. And because I did marketing in my university, you find that with marketing, it's what you put in is what you get out of it. And
yes,
and then it can become expensive as well. So a lot of people cut on it because they don't see the value of it. Say you're a small business, I can knock door to door, get opportunities that way. Whereas with marketing, it's like, okay, let's say social media marketing, you need to invest say 1,000, but you can invest 1,000 and get zero return from it, which is like you've just planted a seed. Eventually it will come back, but you gotta be strategic, and it's a very hard question to answer in like the time that we have, I think. But there's different kinds of marketing. There's organic, and then there's pay for, right? And I believe that any small business needs a very solid base of organic clients, supporters, followers. Being like, even if it's a really good example that the girls used yesterday at our meeting, and they're saying that influencers, right?
An influencer doesn't need to be a makeup brand, or it doesn't need to be a chick that like shows her outfits every single day. An influencer can be a person who likes knitting and they post it on their socials and they have 20,000 followers because people like to knit, and older generations are joining social media, and that's the target market, and they enjoy it. And this organic crowd with extremely high engagement rate. And, like maybe that will encourage the knitting person to start creating their own patterns and hand those patterns out to the followers. And that grows the community. And that is a very tightly knit community that they have created. So I believe that any small business needs to have that. And that's what we are currently working on, is creating these people that organically follow us because we've met them, because they like what we do, because they like our services, because they want to work with us or they have worked with us. That creates like that very solid base of people you can rely on, the engagements you can rely on. But with marketing, you got to be strategic with how you invest your money, because as a small business, like we don't have a lot of money and we can't be blowing. Like these days, the suggested amount of money that you should be investing into marketing is $500 per platform, at least.
Yeah.
And we don't have that. Like we can't afford that. And so, now comes the decision. Okay, so how can we be smart about this? How can we maybe, like rather than doing pay-per-click, do pay-per-fill out a form, or do YouTube ads, because we are a videography business.
Yeah.
So it's all visual. Or how do we go to events where we can promote ourselves? Or how do we create freebies that don't hurt our business, but encourage people to come and visit us? So marketing is extremely important. I have been studying it for our business since the beginning of our business, because it's literally what gets the word out. But you have to be strategic. You have to work with people. You can't do it on your own. You can, if that's what your bread and butter is. But if your bread and butter is your business, you have to, like, the common issue that we have is we're stuck working in the business rather than on the business.
Yeah.
And so you can learn your marketing. But if you're learning your marketing, then you're a marketing director of your company.
Yeah.
So you have to be strategic. You have to learn how to make more for less. You have to work with professionals and trust those professionals that what they're doing, they know what they're doing. You have to keep checking in with them to see if what they're doing is right for you, because they may not know how to make the best for you. And you have to teach them about your business, and you have to learn from them as well, so you know what you're talking about. And that's the beauty of being a smaller filmmaker, is when you're small, you wear multiple hats.
Yeah.
And coming into business and coming into being an entrepreneur, that skill is so useful, because being able to do sounds, being able to do directing, being able to do lights, being able to, edit, all of these things, crafty first aid, like lights, paint, set deck, dressing, makeup, hair, all of these things, you've learned it in film. Now imagine it's just different names. Now you're in business. Learn marketing, learn, digital marketing, learn social media, learn, engagement, learn platforms, learn the lingo, learn these things so that you can be better at communicating with those departments. So you can go to a makeup artist and say, there's shine on their forehead. Can you dab it out? Also, there's a flyaway on the right side. My right, not your right. Fix it. Magic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's fascinating. Because, every time you run into small business, I'm always interested in how they see marketing. And a lot of people say it's important, but then it's like, would you invest in it? And then be like, I'll put $100.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Right? People say they know it's important.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to like dropping money, they're like,
no. Yeah, because the return is not there, right? So like if you say pay-per-click, it's like, okay, what people are clicking your ad, but what's the conversion on it?
You're right. And like that's the thing, like the return will not show itself for a first little while. Depending on your business, depending on your strategy, depending on how much money you invest, can be 2 months, can be 3 months, can be a year, like on when you can start seeing returns. And being very transparent about that is a good way for a marketing person to approach a small business, but also as a small business owner, understanding that it's not a magical pill that's going to give you paying leads the next day right out the gates, it's also important. So it is a bit of a gamble, and it's also a bit of a stinky situation where you have to invest money, but you're not really getting anything out of it. That's why I'm saying build the base of people you can trust.
Yeah.
Because what happens then is, those people see that you're advertising something. Let's say you're advertising a freebie. Don't advertise your business. Nobody cares that you have backdrop company. Tell me, what is it about your back? Are you giving them for free?
Yeah.
Are you giving half price off? BOGO? What's up with that? I don't care about your backdrops. What is it that your business can do for me? What issue, what problem can it solve for me? And so when you have that base of following, they see you do freebies. Of course, they're going to go and get a freebie from you because they worked with you. They know it's going to be good. They get a freebie and then they'll post.
Go ahead.
And that's your influencer.
Yeah.
And that's a free advertising for you, right? So having a base is so important because that's where you're going to start building on. And then you can go away from social media because there was a blackout 2 weeks ago with Facebook and Instagram. Everybody lost their minds, oh my God, my business.
Oh yeah. Right.
Well, yeah. Well, do you have a subscription for newsletter? We don't.
Right.
If the Instagram was down forever, our business is gone.
Yeah.
We didn't take care of that yet. Small business, we haven't got to there yet. We're still in the trenches figuring out our business names, and license numbers.
That's...
So, so that's there's a lot. You're punching down, being a small business owner, it feels like you're being punched down all the time, but it's how much do you want it? How much do you love it? And you'll grow, you'll make it. It's fine. It's just going to be hard for a while, but you'll make it.
Oh yeah. And then for you guys, I'm guessing the 3 years that you've learned so much that now with that understanding, and even when you get, say, new information, say on marketing, if you were to work with a marketer, you're saying that, but that's not how it's worked for us. This is how things have worked. So this is how you can come in and help us grow. For example, finding new clients instead of someone because I know marketing is a lot of experiments. So now okay, these are the type of people we work with. This is what has worked for us. And then when someone brings in their knowledge, you're able then to build from that, right? Yeah.
And you are a small business. Depending what business you are, in our case, we technically started as freelancers.
Right.
So as a freelancer, we didn't know our worth. We didn't know the price for our time. We didn't know our value. And we had okay skill sets. Our skill set is good, much better now. But our work was good. Hence why we were able to survive,
Yeah.
But as a freelancer, you learn things yourself. So when it's time to move on and start hiring people for your business, as a small business, most likely you'll be hiring freelancers. For something more specific like an accounting, we have a bookkeeper now. So that's a professional person. We have a lawyer who has a law firm. So that's a professional person. But for things like digital marketing and social media management, you work with freelancers.
Yeah.
So you know them because you were there yourself. Yeah. So there's a much easier way of communicating with those people, but you have to go through all of these pitfalls before you get to a point where you're okay, I know that I know nothing. Yeah. Let's keep going, know, but at this point, I've learned thus much, so I can incorporate that in my future endeavors and my future relationships.
Oh, nice. And then what if someone wants to start a business, what advice would you give them? They're I don't know how to get clients. I don't know. I just want to start, but I don't know.
What kind of business?
I don't know.
Right? Because it would be a different advice for a flower shop than a videography team.
Yeah, they want to be like you.
They want to be videographers.
Yeah.
I would say hone in on your craft and find people whose skill set complement yours. So find a partner. Being a solo is hard, and you will end up having more people on your team. So we're looking for a third partner. We know we will have a third partner eventually. We just haven't got there yet. But starting a company, like if you're by yourself, you're going to burn out. You need that person to help you. And, like a chair has 3 legs, it can still stand. 4 legs, great, it stands. But if it has 3 legs, it still stands. But if it has 2, it falls over. Yeah. So treat your business as a chair. And like, obviously we still need that third partner, but we're growing. So it's also an advice for ourselves. But find a person whose skill set complements yours. Working with somebody who does exactly the same thing that you do is great. But there will come a time when you will have to split your duties. And if everyone wants to do the same thing and if no one wants to do the other thing, that's a problem. Me and my business partner created a list of things we absolutely love doing, we like doing, we can tolerate doing, and we hate doing. Each of us filled out that list of things that we don't want to be doing and we really want to be doing. We overlap, but we still have a very different set of skills. Yes. He really doesn't like following up with people. I don't care. I don't mind. He hates doing our accounts. I like doing our accounts, even though I have no mathematical background, like I don't like math at all. So he is a creative director now and a DOP. I'm the producer and a production manager. So we don't step on each other's toes. Yeah. And starting a business, a videography business especially, you can do it on your own, but you will need a team. So start thinking early. What are the things that you don't like to be doing or you can't be doing, and find people to do it instead of you, because you will be stuck doing those things. You will hate doing those things. You will get burned out. You will become resentful, and you will think that your business is not what you want to be doing because you're stuck doing things you don't like, where in actuality, you're just going up against yourself and you're burned out. So yeah, find someone. If you don't want to work with anyone, find the things that you hate doing or can't do. And as early as you can, find someone to do it instead of you. And if it means you're not making money off some of the projects, you're working for free, that's an investment into the future, because you will be concentrated on getting more clients, higher paid clients, so that you can have more money. So when you pay those people, you still have something left for you. But now those people will still take care of the things, and you can keep bringing people, and it's a funnel.
Right. And then on finding people, how do you find people? What do you look for in a person?
You just, if you are in this, if you're interested in videography and this business, most likely you have worked on sets, went to a film school, made a short film, made a music video. You've done something, right? You had experience. So go after the people you worked with. Go talk to them. Are they interested in the same thing? Are you guys vibing? Are you clicking? No problem. Do you know someone who may be on the same page with me? Oh yeah, can I get their contact? Go for a coffee. Are they vibing with you? Are they, are they clicking? Bring them on. Don't give them the percentage in your company. Don't give them, a partnership right away. Just work together. You're freelancers. See how you work together. Do you click? Do you work well? Do they steal money from you? Do they, treat us as a job? Are they actually passionate? Are they putting the extra time? And if that works, bring them in. And if it doesn't, keep them as a freelancer and use them for your projects, but it's just not the right person. And we've been looking for a partner for a while, and we meet so many people and we talk to them, and do they fit? No. Are they great friends? Absolutely. So let's just keep doing it. And you just keep siphoning through people, and you just keep going and keep going until you find the right people. And then you categorize them into freelancers, friends, assistants, and you just keep going like that. You have to keep talking to people. You can't just sit there, put out an ads and be like, looking for this. Maybe you'll find someone. Actually, things happen, you know, like you will find a phenomenal person, but what are the chances? You know, like you can't do it. Like I said, take all the opportunities you can, put an ad out and say that this is what you're looking for and this is what you can offer, but don't just stop there.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, that's great advice. Like I've always wondered, like, when you're trying to start something, it's so scary because you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times people want to be successful at the first go, right? So it's like, how would I find people? I have to find the right person who just like that. we are moving. But I found for myself, like when I start things, the way I pictured them, that's not how it works a lot of times. It's like with this podcast thing, it's okay, I need a camera, I need a mic, and then you do the first podcast and it's like 0 plays. You're like, oh my goodness. Now I have to find an audience. How do I do that?
Right.
And then a lot of times you find, if I start to think of the person before I started, I never thought of, you need to build an audience. I just thought you post online and there's massive people there, and then it's like, now you've done this. Like, I might need to find a co-host or whatever, but all those questions is like, you don't know them until you start.
Yeah.
And then it's like, also before you start, your deepest fears probably are not really real.
But you can't wait for too long. Like what you need to do is like, you just need to do it.
Oh yeah.
And then you fail and you're like, cool. So this part didn't work, but this did. It's like ads, right? You've done marketing. You put out 2 campaigns. You put out a campaign, you have 2 ads in the campaign, and both of them run for a month, and it has 0 engagement in this one and 2 people click on this one. I go, okay, well, this one works. Okay. Yeah. So you put this one here and like, what did this one do right? Oh, like it targeted the right location. Okay, cool. Change the location on the new ad and then just add something else. Oh, okay. This one now had 4 clicks and this one's still 2. Replace, right? Yeah. Like ads, you keep doing it. Or like pies, you bake pie, it's shite. You're like, okay, well, what did I do wrong? Yeah. You know, so you just have to do it. That's the same thing with me. I want to start a podcast, right? Yeah. I don't know which medium to do. I know for a fact I'm not going to be writing about it. Yeah. I'm just going to go do it, see how it flops, and then we're going to adjust accordingly. But like, you can't be waiting for things because you don't have much time, you know? You know?
That's true. The time thing, that's massive. All right. So here we have a bunch of questions that we like asking people.
All right.
Standard questions written by a 7-year-old.
Okay. All right. I'll try to make it short because I like to talk. Sorry.
It's all good. The first question is, for what in your life do you feel the most grateful?
I feel grateful for the opportunities that have presented themselves to myself and the lottery that I won by being able to be healthy and be able to move around, you know, like going places and having, you know, the support system that I have developed and having just like all these things. Mm-hmm. I worked on some of them, but I'm extremely grateful for the base package, the core programming that I came with. Yeah. So I'm definitely grateful for that.
That is the most unique answer I've gotten for this question. Okay. The next one is, if you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Well, I think there was a mix-up and I wasn't born in a rich family. I think there was like a mistake originally, like somewhere, like it's okay, I'll forgive them, but like, you know, like could have given me to like at least a like medium class family. Like, come on, no, like what would I change in the way I was raised? I would say that you shouldn't be changing anything in the way you were raised. It is what it is. You're gonna fuck up your kids regardless. Yeah. Just accept it. I would say rather than trying to change what has been done, just acknowledge what was wrong and fix it up in yourself. And if you really can't, if you need medical help, go get the medical help. And if you need assistance, go to get the assistance. And if you need support, go find it. It's hard. I'm sure it's hard to reach out for help if you need it. But unless you had been born with an actual mental illness or physical illness, you know, I think that no matter how bad you've been fucked up by your family, and sorry for swearing, but unless it's extremely bad, unless there has been a lot of abuse, you're fine. But if you have been going through if you have a lot of trauma and mental illness caused by the way you were brought up rather than the way you were born, get help and be gentle to yourself. And, you know, like you have a lot of people who support you and love you, and just, you know, get help, basically, bottom line.
That's a deep response. All right. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life today?
That there's a potential to learn everything. Even if you think you're really bad at something, you can still learn it. And also realizing that there's no such thing as perfection.
No.
So you will never be the best at something, but you can create something that you're really good at and make it as like a special cocktail that no one can replicate. Eventually someone will, but in the moment you can be the best version of yourself.
Okay. All right. That's a valid one. What do you value most in a friendship?
In the friendship, I would say it's basically what the study shows is, you know, being able to stick through thick and thin, and how people are with you when it's thin, when it's bad. You know, it's important to see that support, to see that help that they give you, someone to rely on without feeling guilty for having to rely on that person, without having them make you feel guilty that you need help. But also that person should be able to celebrate your successes and encourage you. So there's two different ways you can celebrate someone's success. You can say, oh my God, congratulations, but wouldn't that be really hard and lots of work? Yeah. Or you can say, oh my God, congratulations, when do you start?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's the kind of friend I'm looking for. The person who can be there for you when it's tough without you feeling like you owe them. But then they're there for you to celebrate your wins without you feeling like they're fake. And that's what I would give back to them as well, as a good friend.
You give deep answers. All right. What's something people seem to misunderstand about you?
I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, I think you're the hardest worker in the room.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm definitely not. If I were, I wouldn't be where I am. You know, I'm definitely allowing myself lazy days, that's for sure. The common misconception about myself, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like people don't tell you these things. They just keep it to themselves, right? Yeah. So sometimes somebody will tell you like, oh my God, you know, like you're like this or you're like that. So I don't want to use any examples because I don't believe in any of them, but it's people create their own version of yourself in their minds. And there's this really cool thing that I've heard that is very strange and also very disturbing. It's like the version of yourself that you have in your mind about yourself is not the version that every single person in your life has about you. Your mother and your father have a different perception and an idea of you than you have of yourself. And that's just like, oh, that's scary, you know, but that's the thing. Like people will have different misconceptions about yourself, and like, that's fine. They're entitled to having whatever thoughts they want to have. But like, I think it's very important to be nice to yourself, because I'm not nice to myself quite often. So you just need to like, to stop that. That's true.
Okay. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
That anxiety is going to last for a really long time.
Oh, you got that too?
That anxiety is going to be writing. That anxiety is going to be, woo, buckle in, you know, like we're in for a long one. I would say that, what would I say? I would say stop spending so much money and learn about money, because I didn't know anything about money and it was really upsetting. Like go learn about money and stop buying stuff from Walmart. Because I lived right outside of Walmart. So I would just go and buy stuff that I didn't need, like a toaster in red and a blender in orange. Like, it doesn't matter. Stop spending money, learn about money. I know it's a cliche, but everything will work out. And I'm saying this to myself regardless, because I'm still anxious the whole time. And I would say just like, start working on your traumas and your issues now, because I didn't start working on them until much, much later. And if I were to figure out certain misconceptions that I had in my head and certain traumas that I had much sooner, I would have been my hands would have been untied much faster, and I would have been able to be much happier with myself.
All right. That's awesome. Okay, this one is pretty long. So it's, what's the most important thing you've learned in your life? What was your life like before learning it? And what was your life like after learning it?
I don't want to make it all about mental health, but it's just like, this is the thing. This is like the backbone of any human, right? Like, we can talk about business all day long, and we can talk about success and money, whatever we want. But like, unless we have a strong backbone, we will not be able to carry the weight.
Yeah.
And so learning how important it is to be gentle to yourself, to be nice to yourself, to not feel guilty, to not beat yourself up, and to understand that also as a woman, we have mood swings, we have hormones, understanding that going through certain phases of adulthood that you can't even control, like you can't control your feelings certain times, and just being understanding about that, and like really getting help, like a professional help from somebody who's not your friend, who's not your family member, who's an outsider that matches with you, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, but a therapist. And like, I don't know, maybe you don't need a therapist, maybe a psychologist or depends, right? Everyone's different. Or like an energy worker or a healer or a shaman or like whatever, like rocks your boat, do it. But like, you need to find your tribe, and you need to find that person or people who will help you to be a better person. So the moment that wouldn't say changed my life, because it's ever changing, but I would say the moment that affected me a lot was just recently during COVID, realizing how ignorant I was about my mental and understanding how much work it is to have the emotional capacity to deal with things. But also there's this book that I just finished reading literally yesterday. It's called Emotional First Aid. It's basically about how people are aware of, if you scratch your knee, you need to put a bandage on it. If you break your arm, you need a cast. But if your boss yells at you, you're like, oh, like anxious, depressed, what else? Just, and that's it. Like being able to use emotional first aid to mend that scratch on you so that it doesn't get infected and it doesn't, you don't ruminate about things. You just let go. Learning about all of these things has made me feel like, oh my God, I'm able now to deal with more stress. I'm able to run my business better because when the client tells me they don't like me, I don't take it personally. When the client tells me my work is garbage, I don't take it personally. When the client tells me they don't like talking to me because I'm such and such way, I don't take it personally, because at the end of the day, everyone has their experiences and expectations. And I'm learning to be better, but they also are. And if we don't align, you can't be taking everything personally. And if you lose money on something, you can't be upset about it for too long. Right. So really learning how important, like being mentally stable, like wrong wording, learning how to take care of yourself better,
Yeah.
That's super important.
That's deep. Like, yo, this answers. All right, this one. What is the best compliment you have ever received?
You've changed.
Changed. Okay. How did that make you feel?
Growth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all about growth, right? It's all about being a better version of yourself than you were before, comparing yourself to yourself. So if you've changed, obviously not like you got fatter or you got ugly,
Yeah.
but like in the context of like you've changed, like you've grown,
Right.
then it's like, damn, thanks.
I'm glad you see it. All right. Okay. What is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Oh man, I had so many. I don't know. I had so many in so many different like aspects of my life, like personal, family, relationship, work, body image. Like I can go on and on. So many failures. I think I don't really know the biggest one because I have a goldfish memory, so like I forget things. So I would say I also try to forget bad things if like I've processed them, like off they go out of the window. So like a big failure, I would be saying that it's, I don't know, man, just spending so much money when I was young. Like I'm so pissed about that Walmart. Like it was just way too close to my house. Like I saw it from my balcony. I bought so many plants that died like in a month, those palm trees.
Yeah.
Like I'm pissed. Like that one just still strokes me like different. Like I tried to make a little garden on my balcony with like tomatoes. Like oh my god. Yeah.
I should have done that. I feel you.
I mean, yeah.
All right. I feel like we've spoken about this, but what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
Yeah, I think we covered that one. I would just say, like, to reiterate, surround yourself with people that are in the same field. Surround yourself with people who are better than you. Surround yourself with people who are different than you, and try to understand that time is the magical spice in any equation, and everything takes time, and there is no such thing as overnight success. That success has been most likely worked towards, even if it was getting born into money. Great, good for them. But if it's, it's most likely that overnight success was a long range of work of getting to know the right people, becoming friends with those people, securing the deals with those people that they finally give you money for that feature film that you're making, so that you get that 5 million, whatever, where everything you've done up until now was 5K short films. So it's not an overnight success. It's honing in your craft and, working hard. So, yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And then who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
My mama. She's pretty cool. Then my energy worker, she's super supportive and also really cool. And then a third person would be influential, you say, or supporting?
Influential.
Influential. Yeah, I don't know. I only have 2.
What is an energy worker?
An energy worker?
Yeah.
Oh man, if people watch this and they're gonna start tearing me down. But basically, it's like everything is made out of energies, right? And so an energy worker is a person who would sit with you and she would just read your energy and she would touch you slightly and she would work with your energy. And what it does is there's a book called Body Mind, and it's super simple. It's nothing like whatever. It literally says, if you have a certain trauma, you store it somewhere in your body. Let's say if you were, let's not use an extreme example. So let's say if you were beaten as a child, like most likely you walk like this a little bit because you have learned to be like this, and this is your trauma in your shoulders. And then when you relax your shoulders sometimes, or if you get a massage and somebody massages your shoulders, you get anxious out of nowhere. Weird. Or if you are like never allowed to speak loud in your house or yell or speak up, whatever. You've always been told to shut up. Your jaw is really clenched and you have really tight jaw. And when you relax it or when you massage it, sometimes it makes you cry. What's up with that? Especially in acting classes, we do massage our jaws and like some people start crying. Well, what up? So that's all energy trapped in our body in the form of a trauma. So what she does, she is trained to find that energy within you, and she just basically unties the knot, because certain traumas is from your childhood. You can say that on November 2nd, 92, my mom didn't come home on time and I felt super scared. And that caused me, for some reason, now have this particular attitude or like this fear.
Yeah.
You can pinpoint it. You like, and if you talk to a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they will talk about your family all day long. Useful, can't find it. So what she would do, she would like untie those knots and release the trauma from your body, from your experiences, from basically what you've had in your life. And, if we really want to dive deep into this, it's like past life karma and whatnot. If you don't believe in it, totally fine. My boyfriend doesn't believe in it. It's totally fine. Like my best friend, she is like into zodiac signs. I don't understand them. We're all entitled to our opinions, right? Yeah. So I believe in this. She believes that Capricorns are not meant to be with Aquariuses or whatever it is, like in a Gatoraces and whatever phase. But then my boyfriend thinks that like everything is like shite and like it's only like this, right? Everyone has their opinions. Yeah. So that's what an energy healer is. She's an energy worker. She just works your trauma. Yeah.
I've never heard of them, but you learn something new every day.
There you go.
And then, final question is, what question would you have asked yourself that I did not ask you?
What would I ask myself that I'm not asking? Why you're so avoidant?
Okay. You're so avoidant.
Because it's scary. Things are scary.
Really? You don't seem like someone who's scared. You seem brave to me. I guess that's my misconception.
Exactly. Things are so scary, and unknown is so scary, and not having money is scary, and not knowing if you're going to make your rent is scary, and seeing your credit card debt is scary, and knowing that you need to purchase some things that are like crucial for you, but not knowing if you'll be able to, and you'll have to put it on your credit and it will add to your debt. It's scary. Not knowing if your film is going to, succeed or tank. Not knowing, if your client is going to sign and then they don't sign. Mm-hmm. And that you've just missed on like 10 grand. That's scary, Yeah. Everything is scary. Okay. And so avoiding fear, avoiding failure, avoiding pain is a natural response. So, it's uncomfortable, right? But you got to work through it. So that's what I'm working on.
Oh, yeah, scary. Oh, that's unique. I thought, you see, a friend told me you never know what people are going through just by looking at them, because she's like a MMA coach. Mm-hmm. So every time I see you, I feel like you're a hero because you have this grown man telling them jump. She's like, you have no idea how terrified I am inside when I'm standing there. Okay, yeah, I would never do that, but
yeah, we all have our little grain of fear, right? Mm-hmm. We're all scared of something. It's just a matter of how do we go about that? Do we just keep being scared, which is fine? It's a natural response. We were programmed to avoid scary things, so we will survive as a species. Or are we going to go towards it? Is it reckless? Most likely. Do we know the outcome? Definitely not,
But,
what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, that's true. And then, any questions for me?
Yeah. Yeah. What is your plan with this? Where do you hope to take this podcast?
I'd like to say I want to be the next Joe Rogan.
Oh, fuck my life, really?
Not him, but I'm not going to have weed and stuff. But I want to be as big as that, to where he now is an influential person on not just culture, but politics and everything. And this platform allows that. It allows your everyday people to come in and speak. I've watched a lot of Elon Musk interviews outside of his podcast. And then when you see Elon Musk on his he's more comfortable. He speaks his mind. In as much as it gets him in trouble afterwards, but as someone who admires him, you learn a lot from what he's saying. And then sometimes, I guess because Joe Rogan gets them high, they just start speaking. But his interviews, they have this way of letting you connect with someone that you admire, and they speak their mind freely. So I hope to grow to that level to whereby people, for example, yourself, when you come in, it impacts your career, but also as well, people get to know you from your perspective and your thoughts, and they're free. It's not like I'm CNN where we filter this, filter that.
Yeah,
but here it's like you express yourself, you say what's on your mind, and then people, oh, like I didn't know this is how she thinks. Because if it was, say, a business podcast, then it's like, okay, so you started a business. What was your business plan? What's your vision? Like, there's a lot of platforms that do that, but on this one, it's more of, I want it to be your personal side, and then we see how your personal life ties into the business, and then we're able to understand you from, oh, okay, so this is what likely led to that, and then it's you saying it. So it's not like hearsay and stuff. So I want to be that level. I really do admire Joe, what he does. I just don't like the weed like stuff
so
like that.
So what are you going to do?
After that?
Yeah, well, how are you going to make it get to Joe Rogan level?
Interviewing everybody. So from...
Yeah, but what's your marketing is like?
Oh, my marketing. Right now. I know I'm on YouTube. Like I'm trying to... Because I've learned with YouTube, there's a way of getting people. So I now have an idea of how to build an audience on YouTube. And then for the podcast part, it's still tricky because it's people like to listen to people they admire. So you sort of, in a way, have to put yourself out there, and then people get to know you. Then they'll follow your podcast and everything because they want to have that connection, which I've started doing. But it's not my comfort zone because I never wanted to be an influencer. Just a guy, just want to be normal. So I'm trying to build it there and making sure the topics they add value. So it's all about value for me. So if you were to listen to the first episode, it was me and my friend just having a conversation, which was like, okay, no one's learning anything from this. That's not how you do it. So now I'm trying to come up with questions that, if you just get 3 minutes of it and you're like, oh, I thought of this, but I didn't think of it that way. I feel like if it connects with people, then more and more people will engage with it. And then also, with time, I'll try to start inviting we always have celebrities here. So it's like, who knows? I might be downtown and then just run into Ryan Reynolds, but hi.
Would you like to come join me on the podcast? Thank you very much.
We can do it right now on my phone for 10 minutes.
My phone is actually with me.
Let's do it. So all that is in my head of how we're going to scale it, and then just improving the production, because I feel if I improve the production of it, people will also be like, okay, this is not just something that I listen today, next week it's gone. Yeah. So there has to be a level of consistency from my side. And then hopefully I add value to people's lives. Because I feel like that's how Joe has been able to do it. Like his first podcast, I didn't watch them until like 2 years ago. And then because they start popping up everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Because of his consistency. But also those value little nuggets you get, like, okay, then I'd say this. Yeah. Oh, okay, I should maybe go check out this guy. So that's the plan that I'm on right now. It might change. I mean, if I get Drake on this, then I'm done.
Hey, you sound pretty pumped, and you sound like you're super passionate. So yeah.
Oh,
I see it.
Keep going. That's all. I need to get you here because I knew you'd fix my lights.
I mean, let's be honest here, buddy. You have 3 different temperatures. Yep. And the light has I don't know how many lumens, maybe 10.
I have no idea what that is, but yeah.
Yeah, get lights. Cameras are great. I would say get lights and use your reverb so that you don't have echoes in because that's what I noticed on your last one is echo. It's been taking me out of it, and it's so easy to fix in post in the Premiere. It's like literally baked into Premiere, denoise and de-echo, whatever. And there's tons of YouTube videos, and the background is great. Just need a zoom lens so you can be a little bit closer, or just camera that gets closer. So maybe a different tripod. Okay. You're 75% there. Production wise.
Yeah, I knew. I had a plan. I was like, who do I know who does this? You know what? I'm gonna call Mariya, and then she'll come and she's like, I don't like this. Yeah.
I do not like this.
That's why you're here, because I don't know what I'm doing. So, Kaligo, you a stunt woman.
That's
why you're fighting.
Yeah, that was fake.
And then you were a model once upon a time. You still do that?
I'm literally going to a fitting right now.
Oh, look at you. Right. And then I didn't want to butcher your last name, so
Miloshevych.
Milo who?
Miloshevych.
Miloshevych.
Yes, do it again.
Miloshevych.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming to the podcast. Hope to see you next time when you are the next, millionaire, billion. What's the goal?
You know what? Didn't set one yet. So I'll get back to you on that shortly.
All right, we'll be there. We'll be there when you become a Marvel producer. Hopefully that's in the dreams.
Yeah, I love Marvel. I love Marvel.
All right. We'll be catching up with you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.